Hi, welcome to Just Imagine with Christopher. If you're planning a Halloween party, you will not want to miss this show. We will show you step by step on how to decorate your home inside or out. We'll even help to prepare some easy edible treats. So sit back and enjoy, and I hope you get some creative ideas from our show. We'll even lend you one of our helping hands. How many of you on Halloween night were ever dared as a child to enter the cemetery? Well, I was, but I was way too scared because I was always told you may enter, but you may never return. Well, this year we actually took a trip up to a real cemetery, and we're going to show you how to put a cemetery together in your yard. One of the first steps that I want to do is show you how to make a tombstone. One of the things that we did was actually took a cardboard box and we cut it out in the shape of a tombstone. You can also even do a tracing on a real tombstone like I did here with the cross. I actually traced this from one that I saw in the cemetery. The next step you'll do is you'll actually spray it with paint, and I did this with white spray paint like this. And then to give the effect of the moss and the black to make it look like it's really aged and old, you take a black spray can, you shake it, and you kind of do this to it, just on the angle, and it will kind of give you those little black spray parts of the paint. To give it more a mossy look, you can take the green, and this is just regular moss green floral spray paint you can get at your local florist, and you kind of take that and you do the same thing. And just do very hints of it, barely touch it, and kind of move it around like this to give you the effect that you want. Then when you're done, you can take a black magic marker and you can put little dots on it like this to kind of give you some effect. And then you can decide to put like little veins on it, kind of like this, little cracks to make it look like it's really old, that it's been out there for a really long time. When we went to the cemetery, it was a really neat experience. This was up on a hill with a lot of trees, and there was a really cool wrought iron gate. And when we opened the gate, it was really amazing on what we saw. And one of the things we did is actually did a rubbing on one of the tombstones. And this is what we came up with here, which I thought was a really cool idea. One thing, though, you do need to be careful for when you go to the cemetery is that when you leave, that you don't bring something with you. Some of the other samples that I have to show you, there's one right here, and this is a really neat styrofoam style that you can actually use outside in your yard. And there's some other kind of styles here that we have, like this one here. And this one actually even has a battery operated with the lights and things go on, which I think is really unique too. And here's some of the other samples here that we actually did make. This one was done by my sister-in-law here out of a cardboard box, and she spent a little bit of time on it, but she actually did some drawing and did some really neat detail work on here. And there's another sample here that we have too, which is this one right here. And this one really has some really great detail. See with the lines, with the cracks, and all of this shading on here to make it look like the sun would shine on it during the day. They also make them in plastic like this one here that can go out in your yard, and this actually does light up and it makes sounds. It's done by sensor, which is really neat. And because we frequent garage sales and antique shops, sometimes you can come across something like this, and this is actually an old roofing tile from the 1800s that they used to use on homes and barns. And this one was really neat. We saw this at a sale, and it just gave me an idea right away to use it as a tombstone. And you can actually see how it was actually hammered and used, drilled on for the roof. But a lot of times these are going to be harder to find, but if you do frequent up north, you may find these in your antique shops or flea markets. Another really good idea to use for a table centerpiece for your Halloween party is something like this, and this is actually grass plugs that you can buy at your local nursery, and they sell them in the actual tray like this. And what I did is I just took a regular pumpkin. You can actually use a real one if you'd like, or one that plugs in, and set it in the center like this. You can take one of the tombstones that you've made, like this here, and set it down like that, and you want to fix it in so it's going to stand up. You can actually even use a lantern like this. And you can put a candle in this to give it authentic, to make it look like the old thing in the old days. And another thing that's really kind of unique now, they make these small little tombstones like this here, and these would make great party favors or party settings for a place card setting, and you can actually put your name right here to personalize whoever would be sitting at the table. I hope this gives you some great ideas on how to decorate your home for a Halloween party, and even how to create a great cemetery for your yard for the trick-or-treaters to come and visit you on Halloween night. Welcome to Creepy Hollow. Turning your garden into a scary cemetery can be fun and rewarding, especially for the trick-or-treaters. In just a few simple steps, we'll show you how. I like to use an old dead branch. You can add lights to it for effect for the night illumination. Using the tombstone, place a stick at the bottom to firmly secure it into the ground. I like to use lit-up figures that you can find in any display store and put that in front. These are actually battery-operated. The next we use sheet moss. This gives it a real authentic and live look. It makes it look really eerie, and we place this all around the tombstones. There are different types of tombstones you can use. You can use slate tiles, you can use styrofoam, you can even use the cardboard style. We used old camping lanterns that we found in garage sales, and we actually put the old flicker flame bulbs inside so they look like candles lighting at night. This will give it a real authentic look. If any of you watched the old movies, they used to carry these around when they were digging up the graves. Spanish moss is another type of moss that I like to use, and I kind of drape it around to give it more of a eerie feeling. And just kind of sprinkle it around here and there to make it look more natural. You can also use fall leaves. Then we took an old spider web, and now these are all weatherproof things that you can use. We've also taken some old sap buckets that have faces carved into pumpkins, and we hung them from the trees. You can place some pumpkins in your cemetery to give it color for the day, and at night you can use ones that light up. We even put an old cat on top. Taking the spider webs, now this is real easy stuff to fool with. You can just stretch it really thin and kind of wrap it around securely, kind of tight, and then just stretch it really, really thin. The best to do is to put it like underneath something, like under a brick or someplace to really stretch it and hold it like she's doing here. And just keep pulling it thin. One of the things we like to also do is light up our walkway, and again, these are the old sap buckets with the faces carved in them. These are really neat. These are from probably the 1920s. And then again, we put the strings of lights in them using the orange bulbs, and these will help light them up because in South Florida the winds are so strong they usually blow the candles out at night. This way your lights will stay lit all the time. It's great to have the kids kind of help too out. They sure like to have fun, especially for Halloween. And here we're just placing some pumpkins on a bench here for color. So have fun, and I hope you have a happy Halloween. And remember, there's always a little kid in all of us. I love Halloween. It's one of my most favorite holidays. There are so many things that you can decorate your home with, and I'm here today to share with you some of the different creative ideas to help you use your imagination. And the first things that we're going to show you actually is how to set up the Department 56 Village. And I know a lot of people nowadays don't have a lot of room in their home, and so we came up with a kind of cool ideas to show you that won't take up a lot of space. And the first thing I want to show you is actually using an old ordinary box. Now, if you cannot come up with an old box like this one, then you can use actually just a cardboard box from Publix. But here we've taken a box that we picked up at an antique store up north, and I'm going to actually show you on how to set it up. The first thing you're going to want to do is use some of the green sheet moss, and you can pick this up at your local florist. And I like to do this at the very bottom to kind of do a little setting in here to make it look really natural. It's a little messy, so I suggest if you don't want to make a mess, put some newspaper down. But you usually put this at the very bottom, like so. And then I actually picked this house here because it's called the Fun House. And like Halloween is really fun, so I thought this would be a great thing to use for a display. And you kind of just set this in here like so. And just kind of get it back a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect because you can do so many things to cover with mechanics. We have different types of mosses. This is Spanish moss here. And this actually does grow in Florida. And you can use that to kind of hide your cord. And just kind of put a little bit of it around like so. And then what I've done here, I've actually taken a little metal fence and I put this thing together and I did like a little setting with, and I don't know if you can see this really easily, but there's like somebody raking leaves and a little table. It's okay. And we have these little pumpkins that I have also that you can kind of set around. Now Department 56 has really gone with a lot of creative ideas and creative things. They have trees with ghosts, they have little people. And so you can kind of put a lot of these little things around. And I remember a lady said to me one day in the store, she'd come in and she said, I just don't think I can handle doing this. And one of our employees that was working here, we were joking about this one day, and on days it's very stressful, we used to say, well, I wonder if we could just become one of these small little people and hide in one of these little houses. So you have to kind of pretend that you're like one of these little people going to this house trick-or-treating. It makes it a little bit look more realistic. And just kind of set these things around. And then you can get this garland, which I thought was kind of neat. And you can kind of drape it along the fence to kind of give this a little bit of color. Like so. And then because this garland, the leaves are really small, they're like little tiny oak leaves, you can just kind of sprinkle these things around, put a few little pumpkins in here. And if you want to do like a little path walkway, you can take some little stones. And we just got these at the home improvement store. And they're just a little bedding gravel that you can use. But what you're trying to do is actually create a setting, but in a miniature version. And again, you can use a little bit of the moss here to kind of hide. And because this is so small and wouldn't take up a lot of room, you can actually clear a little space off in a china cabinet, or you can put it on the top of your television. And it definitely will make a really nice conversation when people walk into your home for Halloween. And the kids will definitely get an enjoyment out of it. And see, this is, I mean, it's kind of realistic. I'm rushing, so it's not going to come out as nice as you can take a lot more time with it. I mean, but the little things that they've come up with, the little cat, the detail, and all these little pieces is just great. And then one of the other samples I wanted to show you, which I thought was a really good gift idea. In fact, we do these in the store, and this has been one of our #1 selling items, by putting these little houses in an actual little basket. And I think this kind of gives a really neat table setting. You know, the only thing is you'd have to put this against the wall somewhere. It couldn't be like a table centerpiece because you've got the cords to worry about plugging them in. But these two houses have been one of the most populars here, especially this one with the bats flying around. And I just think it actually really is a cute little setting to use for Halloween. And I hope this will give you some ideas on what it will look like. And if you have any questions about any of these things, you can call our store or you can visit us on our website, which is Christopher'sChristmasShop.com. Collecting Halloween can be a fun and rewarding hobby, but there are a few things you need to look out for when you're purchasing your Halloween. Because they are reproducing so many of these items nowadays, it's really hard to tell the new from the old. So here I want to show you some things to look out for when buying your Halloween. This one here in my right hand is a reproduction. It sells for about $50. This one here in my left hand is an actual old pumpkin from 1938. These pumpkins were actually used by kids walking trick-or-treating holding candles in them to light their way. On the very bottom of the newer ones, they will be smooth like this. On the older ones, they're going to have an indentation. So always when you're out looking, make sure that the bottom has an indentation. I know you're going to think this is funny, but I normally, when I'm buying a pumpkin, I usually smell the inside. If it has a musty old paper smell, then you know it's the real thing. If it smells like new fresh paint, like this one does, then you'll know that it's a reproduction. Some of these items here, like I have here, can range as much as $150. This is from the 1950s. It's more of a rare style. This one over here is more of a common style, and you probably can find one of these for about $95 in your store. And this one here is a two-sided cat, and this one would sell for about $100. If you want to learn more about Halloween collecting, I have two great books that I refer to all the time. They come with even price guides. This one here is by Pamela Russell, and it's called More Halloween Collectibles. The other one is called Halloween Collectibles, a Price Guide by Pauline Campanelli. Both of these are great guides to refer to. There's also a Halloween club that you can join and get a newsletter, and it's called Trick or Treat Trader. And to learn more about this information, you can contact our store by calling 848-4500 or get us on the website at christopherschristmasshop.com. This is the night I've been waiting for, All Hallows Eve. I'm trying to plan a party, but I'm not sure what to do. I have an old recipe here that's been passed down by the generations, so I thought maybe I would summon for some help. Oh, geez, it's you two. Not you two, though. I don't know if I can deal with it, but I do need help. So can you help me figure out this recipe? Give this back. This is a secret recipe. Come over here. I got a fire going on the stove. You got to come over here and help me, too. This recipe is for making popcorn balls. The first thing you'll need is 1 cup of sugar. You'll also need a 1/4 cup of butter, a 1/3 cup of white corn syrup, a 1/3 cup of water, 3/4 tablespoon of salt, and 3/4 tablespoons of vanilla. Set your stove on medium-high heat. Let it come to a boil, and don't stir it. The magic of this potion is to let it come to a thread. So keep putting your spoon up and down until it comes to a glassy thread. While she's waiting for this to thread, you want to make sure that you have your popcorn already popped, like we have here. This is how it looks when it threads. Make sure when it's done, then you add the vanilla to it. And then I just dump it in. Now the next step is take it off the heat. Now you want to wait till this starts to settle down, not to be bubbling. She's going to pour it over the popcorn, and you kind of go in a circle motion. You just keep pouring it all the way until it completely comes out of the pan. Put butter on your hands to make sure that the popcorn does not stick to your hands. Make sure you wait 1 or 2 minutes for it to cool, because again, this has just come off the stove and it will be hot. And then once it's cool, just grab it, all the popcorn, and start shaping it into a ball shape, like she's doing here. Now you can either wrap this with clear cellophane, but I like the green because it gives it more of an eerie look. So just take the cellophane like this, just turn it around and wrap it. And this also keeps it more sanitary too, for the table. Like that, and just place it in a bowl. Now we picked a green bowl to go with the green cellophane. It's not a complete Halloween party without caramel apples. I'm here today to show you some easy steps on how to make them. The first thing you'll need to do is wash your apples. Once you have the apples cleaned, put them on a firm, flat surface. Take your sticks and insert them in the apple, like so. Make sure you get the sticks straight and push them midway in so that when you put the caramel, because it's heavy, the stick won't fall out. The next step, you'll take your pre-wrapped caramels, unwrap them, and put them in a microwavable bowl. Add 2 tablespoons of water and put it on high for 3 minutes. While the caramels are cooking, you'll have a little bit of time to grease a plate with butter. Thank you, my assistant. This will help you to keep the apples from sticking after you dip them in the caramel. I think the caramel's ready. Thank you. And the next step you'll do is take your apple, and I have a knife here that I'll show you what you're going to do, but just take it and roll the apple like so, and then have it come up, and then just take your knife and just slice off the bottom like so, and just place it in the bowl. Stay. And then do it again. But that one didn't come out as well as I wanted to. You have to dip it a little bit deeper. You have to remember this is the first time I've ever done this. I figured if I can do it, anybody can. Okay, and then just turn it around like so. And then take it and just kind of roll it in your nuts like this if you want to put nuts on them. This is actually my favorite kind. And then just put this in your refrigerator and let them chill. And then you'll come out with samples like we've done here, which have actually come out pretty nice. And you can set them on different types of containers like I've done here to give it a little bit more of a creative way of displaying them. And I hope this helps you on how to create some great crumbled apples for your Halloween party. Another great Halloween treat is the candied apple. Today my lovely assistants are going to show us how to do that. The first steps you'll have to do is get a package, which you'll find in the local grocery store in the produce department. You want to make sure that you get this early because it's usually only out during Halloween. The first steps you'll do is take the contents from the bag, add 1 cup of water and 2½ cups of sugar in a saucepan. Bring it to a boil. No stirring is required. Continue cooking on medium-high heat. This is 290 degrees on a candy thermometer. If you don't have a candy thermometer, this stage is reached when a drop of syrup, when dropped into cold water, hardens into a brittle thread. Handle hot syrup very carefully. While the syrup is cooking, the next step you'll do is take your freshly washed apples and place sticks in them evenly. Make sure you push the stick down firmly about halfway down the apple. Like that. And make sure you push your stick further down so they're basically straight. When it reaches temperature, take it off the burner, let it cool down, take your apples. Again, you don't want to rush this, you want to make sure it stops bubbling. Take your apple and slowly turn it. Ooh, it makes a great eerie sound. Cool. Now take it and put it on a greased dish. Like she's doing here, and just place it down on the tray. The reason you grease this is so they don't stick. I like to use the green apples because they taste a lot better. And by putting the red solution on the green, it actually makes them look bloody. So we call them our bloody apples. And then you can add nuts to them. And we've pre-chopped all these nuts already. And then you add it on. And there you have it. Let the apples cool down at room temperature. You do not have to refrigerate them. This takes about 1 to 2 minutes for them to cool down. And then they're ready to eat. I'm sure there's a lot of us out there who don't know how to cook, like me. So I came up with a great idea, this cupcake spider, that anyone can make, even the kids. And today I have some helpers, Colin and my son Michael, and we're going to show you how to do this simple project. The first thing you'll need to do is get some cupcakes. If you don't know how to cook these or bake them, then you can just order them from your local grocery store. The next thing you'll do is you'll buy these candied balls, and they come in packages. You'll take regular licorice, like I've done here, and because they come really long, I've pre-cut them already to be this length. And you'll just do that by measuring each one, so they're going to be all the same size, like this. And you're going to be cutting off maybe about 2 inches off. The next thing you're going to do to make the legs bend is you're going to take it and just snip the very end like this here. And this will help give you this little bending look like that. Then you'll take a toothpick and insert it into the end like so. And then what you'll do is you'll take, now you guys can start, go ahead. Go ahead and stick it in like this, and just kind of bend these down a little bit so that it will fit a little bit better, like that. And it's kind of neat because you can already see it forming into a real spider already. And you can do it like that. And you can put the head on first if you want to, but I just like to do the legs first, actually, like this. Now, one thing you do want to remember, the licorice is very, very limp when you buy it. So I put this in the refrigerator for a couple hours just so it's a little firm. Then you'll take the head like this, and you just put a little toothpick in it like so. And then just push it in the center like that. And then they sell this in the store, which is this decorating icing. And I picked green because I thought green would be the neatest. And you just put 2 little dabs of frosting on like this. So you can take the 2 little green M&Ms like this, and you can just push them on like so, like that. And this can be a really fun and edible treat that anybody can do. If you're planning a party for younger children, then you don't want to have the table as scary. You want to do it more of a fun style. So here what we've done, we're going to do everything on a happy note. One thing you need to remember when setting up your Halloween table, you want to use things in different heights like I've done here. A lot of people seem to decorate things flat. This helps you a lot if you can raise some things up just by turning bowls upside down, taking a simple cake dish like I've done here to raise it up, and step back from your table to judge and make sure that everything shows up from a distance. I hope this helps you come up with some really creative ideas on how to set up a table for a Halloween party.